They were trying to figure out what the root cause of cancer is, right? She had all this data. She was working with other amazing doctors with all this data. And you want to know the root cause? You probably know what the root cause is.
I mean, I'm going to say parasites, because that's
what comes before parasites.
Your toxin exposure, your toxic load.
Yes.
Yeah.
They figured out the root cause was the person's toxic load.
Wow.
How
So what you're
simple is that,
saying
right?
is by living clean, eating clean, moving, breathing, sweating, doing all of these things, including charging the body up with light, with negative ions, with connection to the planet, with the technologies that simulate that, one of the main things that people should take into consideration when questioning how much time and money they want to spend on this stuff is the efficacy with which it is preventing a debilitating disease in the future that your body creates because you eventually reach a state where it can't clean itself up.
100%. Yeah. You will get cancer eventually if you do not clean the toxic load.
All right, what you are about to see is a tour of a very cool biohacking facility in Miami, Florida called Centner. You'll get to witness me showcasing and showing to you all of these cool machines while talking about how they work. And these are things that you can get for your own home, or you can visit a wellness center like this Centner place to try them out for yourself. And then I'm going to interview Leila Centner, who founded Centner Wellness, and dig into her backstory, which is just fascinating. So if you want all the show notes, go to bengreenfieldlife.com/Centner. That's bengreenfieldlife.com/CENTNER.
Welcome to Centner Wellness. We have the amazing Ben Greenfield here with us. And
smells good in here.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe it's her or me or the cookies, one of us.
Yeah. Well, I've heard about Centner for a while. I've never been here, so we're getting the tour. I was telling you when I got in, it's hard to find a place that's cooler than my basement, but so far this is pretty cool. You got a lot of toys.
Wait till you see. Wait till you see. We're starting here in the Centner Cafe, Regenerate Cafe. I don't know if you know this, but we own a ranch, 800-acre ranch. And we have a 30-acre farm.
Wow.
And so, of course, you know Centner Academy, which is my baby, our schools.
Yeah.
We feed our kids farm to table.
Amazing.
And so we have a gourmet kitchen over there with amazing chefs that feed our kids. And so right now, since this is our mini cafe, they're actually bringing food here.
So many times people are like, oh, my fruits and vegetables are organic, but they're washing it in tap water or just filtered water.
Yeah.
So we wash everything in clean, ozonated water. I'm gonna give you a nice glass.
He drinks a lot of hydrogen water, so it'll be good to see his take.
I drink hydrogen water. At my house, I drink the Ophora oxygenated water.
Okay.
Under the sink unit that comes with the whole house unit is structured.
Normally it's like
some bubbles.
Full of bubbles.
Yeah. When you pour a glass of water at my house, it's cloudy. You can't even see through it.
Yeah,
and then the oxygen eventually goes away. That's so cool.
Let's continue the tour.
Okay.
You can finish that or...
There's always cool things that I've never seen before.
Okay, so we'll start in Alexandra's room. This is one of our treatment rooms. We have a lot of energy healers here that will do Reiki, Kundalini, somatic therapies.
So we're mind, body, and soul. Yeah. So a lot of people, they're doing, they have all the technology, but then they've got trauma blocks.
Yeah.
And so the lady that we have here does amazing breath work. Amazing. My brother passed away a couple years ago, and I laid down on this bed with her, and within 90 minutes, I just felt like peace.
Wow.
Okay, so this is our In Harmony bed. It looks like a regular massage table, but if you put your hands on it, you can feel, Ben, that there's a certain frequency that's really calming.
We add a red light panel on top of it.
Yeah.
So you get the red light and the In Harmony at the same time.
Wow. Cool.
All right, Vemi bed. Have you heard of Vemi?
This is like the pure wave frequencies in a bed?
Yeah, so it's
with
combined
vibroacoustic.
Okay. PMF, infrared heat, and then it's a guided meditation experience for 30 or 60 minutes.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Delicious.
These are hydrogen showers, 5 ppm. I'll show you the system in the back, but this is a cold plunge, but we clean it with ozone. And it's infused with oxygen therapy.
Oh, wow.
So this is not like a normal cold plunge. Actually, the standard, what it comes with is they infuse chlorine in it. So we rip that out and we put our pieces in it. It feels totally different.
It doesn't take much convincing to get me full.
We got to get you that on video too, especially this one. And then again, that's hydrogen shower, which I want you to take as well. When you take a shower, we can infuse it with essential nutrients.
Gosh.
So each
Like
one,
what?
each one has a different combination, the essential nutrients. And then this is our steam shower. What people don't realize when they go into steam rooms, they don't realize they're full of mold.
Yeah.
This is cleaned with ozone.
Full of
And it's-
mold, and you don't know if the water that you're breathing in has been filtered.
This is super duper filtered water. When I take you to behind the scenes to see our filtration, it'll blow your mind.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the cleanest water you could possibly put in your body, and
Wow.
every day the ozone comes on that completely flushes it out. So you know this beauty.
Oh,
You know,
this thing is
mortal.
incredible. Probably one of my favorite.
You know John's Mitozen spray, right?
Yeah.
So my favorite thing to do
Oh no.
is to spray John's spray right before I lay down into this.
They drop new settings. So there used to be different guided experiences. Now it's 15, 25, or 50. My favorite one is Envision. I'm doing a 30-day protocol testing it out. And the only thing you miss, so it's PMF, PEF, molecular hydrogen, vibroacoustic, red light therapy, ozone. So this is one of the best ones because you can stack so many things in
Yeah,
a fraction of
that's
the
what I
time.
like. Like when it comes to time hacking, why not do as much as possible?
This is the best.
Yeah.
This is, I tell people this is the Ferrari of biohacking
Yeah.
tools.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could take this to trade shows, but I don't want to ever move it because I don't want anything to break.
Wow.
Have you used this?
No.
Okay, you have to try it before you leave.
Oh wait, yeah, I have in London. I tried to use it.
the
I
InfraSlim?
did like a workout in it.
European-based company, so you put on like a tutu-looking apparatus that you put on an Ultra G. You get nice and sucked in. You're bicycling with red light therapy, infrared heat, aromatherapy. There's a vacuum technology that helps with lymphatic drainage, and then there's oxygen here. All while you want to Netflix and chill, you want to handle some emails, whatever you want to do, all stacked.
So cool. Yeah. And I know some people are probably wondering as we go through here, do you have to be a doctor to own this stuff? But a lot of this stuff, it still is direct to consumer.
100%.
Obviously, you know, people from all over the world will be watching and might not be able to come into Centner, but still are just like, yeah, I want one of these for my house. So you can buy
Of
this
course,
stuff.
you can. Yes.
You can come shopping here.
Yeah.
Look and see what you like.
Uh-huh.
Have you
I've
tried
not
this?
seen this. No. This looks
This is
interesting.
amazing.
So you like lay your back over it, or?
You can do your back, your feet, your abs, anything that you would, let's say, with a traditional foam roller.
Wow. What is this one called?
It's called Roll Star.
Cool. That is a great idea.
It's turning on. Update.
And it's heat too. And there, you can also follow a workout routine on this too.
So you can sit on it first. Yeah, that's what I
okay.
recommend.
Like facing this way?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And then it shows you how many
We
calories
could
you're
just
burning.
do the podcast on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is super cool. I mean, just in the hamstrings alone. Wow.
You can even sit back on this to get your calves. And
What's
it helps
that?
to leverage my hamstrings
Oh,
more.
yeah.
So if you dunk back more, and there's a chair behind you, if you reach, you'll
Yeah.
feel it.
Try the back first. Oh, wow. Woo. Holy cow.
Goes
This
deep,
is
right?
cool. Yeah. Oh, it goes super deep. This is no joke.
This may be what you're missing at your house.
This might be. Yeah. Do they make many of these? Can people like go to a website and get them?
And then after a couple minutes, it warms up a little bit more. So it's just
Yeah.
starting right now.
Yeah, then you'll feel the heat.
Yeah. And is the heat infrared or?
Infrared heat.
Wow.
And you can change directions too.
Hold on, it's gonna go. Now.
Oh yeah.
That's a fun one.
Never seen
One
one
of
of those
those
before.
You heard it here, friends. There's something here he's never seen before. This is our Mitozen section that we're constantly running out on because everybody loves their stuff.
All the goodies.
But
Yeah.
you have no idea how much of these Zen sprays we buy.
Really?
Like that, they're gone.
Wow.
We have some people come in here and order
A
like
good sales
10 of them. It's crazy.
On the immortal.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, we're all about parasite cleanses. And I don't know if you know Dr. Group, but he's got fantastic supplements. He actually, if you don't know him, you should meet him. In his facility where he manufactures these,
Wow.
he's amazing.
His oxy powder is no joke. Those ozonated magnesium oxide. So if you're feeling bloated or a little clogged up,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Really?
like a liquid colonic is how I would equate it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's fantastic. What we do here is we focus on first the cell membrane.
Yeah.
We do PCIVs too. We're actually working.
Oh, you do PCIVs?
We're working
Right.
directly with Dr. Patricia Kane,
Oh, amazing.
the OG.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is our little gym area I'm sure you're familiar with.
Carol, yep, the InBody.
That's where you know about. Power plate.
Both the ARX models, awesome.
Yeah, both the ARX, Power Plate, Juvent Plate, and OxFit, which is kind of like a tonal on steroids. It's like 40 square foot gym. And then we have the OG, which shows like the force plates. I hate traditional cables at a gym because they have to rest and then have to change it. And everything here is super adaptive and to get kind of results in a fraction of the time.
Yeah, super cool.
And Alyssa is an amazing trainer.
Thank you.
You probably don't know this. We should put them on it for a second. You want to take your phone out of your pocket?
So this is Zippy's 0-point plasma. I'm going to fix it because you're tall. 0-point plasma ion suite.
That's good.
Okay, so give me 1 second, Ben.
Okay.
You're going to feel a negative ion shower on your head.
I feel that.
So you're sitting on what's called a grounding mat. You can either be barefoot with your feet or you can be sitting on it.
Wow.
As you know, the body is constantly in excess of positive ions. So this rainfall is really helping offset that.
Yeah.
We're have
Like
two
being
other
underneath
modalities.
the waterfall without getting wet.
Literally.
Yeah.
And you feel so euphoric. Acoustic life wave, which is a rifle machine on steroids, upwards of 1.5 million hertz. 4 different plasma tubes. They're strategically placed 180 degrees from one another, which creates 0-point energy in quantum physics. So that's that kind of minimal amount of energy for just kind of optimization.
And is this kind of similar to the biocharger, this
No, totally
coil
different.
over here?
Totally.
What did you call it again?
It's like a rife machine where you basically are getting the different frequencies all in one. So when you sit here, we have people sit here for 45 minutes max. You know the flow presso?
Lymph action? Yeah. That's
Lymph
great.
action, infrared heat.
Yep. Yep. So this will, for people watching, this will kind of like pump lymph fluid based on compression. It's like you wear those compression boots, except this is full body. It kind of pumps as you wear it.
And heat too. This has heat.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we'll stack it with the red light.
Awesome.
And then we'll stack it again with acoustic light.
Yeah, I love how you're thinking of getting as much
Then we'll
done.
bring molecular hydrogen through your
Short period
nose
of
and
time
then
as
brain tap
possible.
for your
Yeah.
eyes.
Yeah. Wow.
So they brain tap hydrogen at the same time. As much as we can fit into one, we do it.
Yeah. Wow. Even more of the Scalar.
So this is our 24 unit room. So we have a radio frequency foot ionic bath, 30 minutes by increasing your body's internal temperature by just 1 degree, really strengthens your immune system.
Yeah.
I'll be on this for 30 minutes. I will be dripping in sweat and my mind is blown. This thing is no joke. And
all
then
through the feet.
All through the feet, the meridians of the feet is how it starts.
IHHT, intermittent hypoxic hyperoxic training. So you put a mask on and it alternates between hypoxia and hyperoxia, along with a fingertip pulse oxygenation sensor, which allows it to adjust if necessary on the fly. So you get a lot of the effects of like altitude training or the hyperoxic effects of, say, like a hyperbaric chamber by simply laying back and using something like this. And there's a newer company, Sell It. Yeah. The other one is Cell Gym, but this one is supposed to be pretty cool. So there's 3 different ways to get oxygen into the body: exercise with oxygen therapy, intermittent hypoxic training, or exercise with oxygen training. And that's the IAHT.
This thing had a wait list, Leila, for how long? Like a year? No one can get their hands on this.
Wow. And so the unit is not just designed to wear goggles with. I'm assuming
You can do
breathe
it.
cannula. And what kind of water is it again?
It's polarized. I drank in the water and it was strong. I only drank very little and it's more concentrated. So you don't have to drink the 8 to 10 cups a day.
Wow.
But it feels like a little mist for your eyes is how I would equate it.
Wow.
Okay, so this is one of our treatment rooms. So right behind you, you're gonna see neogen. So a lot of people do chemical peels, lasers, which are really harsh on the dermis, and it really just does the outer layer of the skin, sometimes a little deeper. So neogen is a plasma-based treatment. It emits a plasma thermal heat that goes into the entire dermis. And you can see results from anywhere from 12 to 24 months. It's about an hour treatment. I do no numbing. You just have to hydrate really well so it can penetrate deep. So again, instead of doing fillers, neurotoxin, or doing these harsh peels or laser-based treatments, Leila kind of searched all over to see what's the most optimal to really look the way you feel. After doing all these treatments, you're gonna feel younger, but you wanna look younger too.
Yeah, and this one's called nitrogen plasma technology. And is it like do you wear it or is it an actual treatment?
You lay down, it's a treatment. It's, neogen skin plasma, skin regeneration.
Okay, yeah, so kind of similar concept to someone doing like microneedling or something like that.
We have that too. We have a skin pen. We have everything.
Yeah.
The way the representative explained it best is when you get laser, it's burning off the surface, the layers of your skin.
Yeah.
But this is actually healing you from the inside out, so it's pushing out the dead layers instead of burning it off.
Yeah. Wow.
Weber laser. So it's super awesome. You're going to get an IV, intravenous. The fiber optic cable is going to go right into the vein.
Yep.
Then you're going to get all the colors of the rainbow.
Freaks a lot of people out.
Freaks a
but
lot of people out.
Literally, it's no different than getting an IV.
No, it's the exact same thing. But what's going to happen is the mitochondria is the buzzword now for everybody. Everybody wants to talk about mitochondrial health. And that's why everybody does the red light therapy. The part most people are missing is that your mitochondria actually has antennas for every light in the spectrum. So it's going to attract the yellow, the green, the blue, all these other red light, or all these other lights instead of just the red light. Feeding the mitochondria and the processes inside the cell even better.
You know how people like to do methylene blue and then the red light bed? Well, methylene blue and then the red light Weber
because
is like
the light
on
activates
steroids.
Yeah.
Because it's going directly into your veins.
Yeah.
You can do copper, you can do riboflavin, you can do all, you can do all the things.
Anything you can activate with light. Yeah. Great idea.
Curcumin to reduce inflammation. And then you do this, it's insane.
All right, so over here we have the biodensity.
Oh, I know this one.
Okay, I figured you knew it.
A little bit like the osteo. It's called the osteo strong.
Yep.
Yeah, isometric
5 minutes,
contraction.
that's it.
I like stacking the power plate, then using this.
Yeah, because the power plate has some good data on it for bone density also.
Absolutely.
It's great.
And these are some pictures of the Neogen.
There's a better one right here I'll grab. Just so he can see it. Like, look at these people, before and after.
Wow.
Before and after.
Show this on the camera. I want people watching my podcast to see this. Wow. So it's the Neogen. I'm assuming that is not something people can just like buy for their homes. The Neogen. They probably could, I guess.
You probably could, but I really.
But you still, it's not one of those things you can do on your own. You still need somebody to be like.
Yeah, and you only need a couple treatments, so you're better off going to a place like this and getting it done, and then getting it done every couple years because you're just trying to combat age.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
So this is, of course, single person hyperbaric. We have a double person hyperbaric there. But what's a little bit unique here is we've got this 5-person with right frequency in it. So you can sit 5 people in here and you can select whatever frequency you want.
Wow. Maybe just some books.
And then you select, it's not on yet, but you'll select what right frequency you want.
Cool.
So you get to pick, Ben, one ideally from each category. If a category doesn't apply to you, then you can pick like 2 from a different one.
Oh.
So you pick 3 at a time.
Physical, like insomnia, chronic pain, headaches, anxiety, sexual dysfunction male, sexual dysfunction female, ADD, ADHD. Wow.
So it's anything, let's say if you have any kind of trouble areas or if you want enhancements, you want things to complement one another. So you may not have troubles with sexual dysfunction, but let's say you want to enhance, you would pick that one. Then you may want something that would be complementary to that. So maybe euphoria and maybe hormone balance. So every experience, I always encourage people, if you want to optimize something or if there's an area you want to work on, that you can pick either one from each category or you can pick a couple from the emotional or the physical.
I suffer from euphoria.
It's hard. So which ones do you want today? Which ones do you want today, David? I know, so if there's nothing applies to this, then you can pick from this area and this area.
Okay.
That's what I typically
Just close
do.
your eyes and point, and God will choose what struggles you have right
What
now.
does God want today?
So memory enhancement.
I like
focus and
that one.
Concentration, and when I was joking
Euphoria.
about euphoria,
We should
but
do that.
I want more euphoria.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what do you want more of? Or less of?
Oh.
I
I'm
agree.
pretty good in all these categories, actually.
But you can have something further enhanced.
Reduce stress.
Okay, let's do that. Perfect. All right, so you're gonna lay down. I'm gonna get you all set up. There's so many different modalities at play in the Theta chamber. So it's gonna be, let me get this up for your knees. David, lift up, please. So it's gonna feel like you're floating, kind of like a float deprivation tank. There's also going to be spinning. It spins the same frequency that the earth travels around the sun. Everything is to help with entrainment. So you have electrical stimulation on the ears, you have sound therapy on the ears, and you have light therapy on the eyes. It's all white light wavelengths. So what's crazy for people is like they'll say, I see squares, I see rectangles, I feel like I see different colors, and it's all white light. So they've done different protocols. The company recommends that people can do a 30-day protocol to truly help if they have any kinds of PTSD, anxiety, depression. These are your earrings.
It does PEMF too, huh?
PEMF, that's a new addition for this too. The first version did not. So again, you're getting grounding, electrical stimulation on the ears, sound therapy on the ears. Let me go here, David. And it's a 30-minute experience, but it feels like you're only in it for a couple minutes if you really do drop into Theta. And so then there's different customizations. So typically it's saved for each user. I'm gonna just make sure that David's good with everything. David, I'm gonna hit start and just let me know how it is. All right, so enjoy your experience. So it'll spin, the first few spins you'll feel, and then you kind of just drop into Theta. You don't feel the spinning the rest of the experience.
Wow. It's crazy that you don't
It's
feel
gonna start in a second, and now it goes. It's crazy, and at the very end, when you come out, you're like,
Had to measure this room before you put this in here, huh?
Oh, yeah. Initially, this is going to be a 12-person hyperbaric chamber. It's going to be connected.
Wow.
And then this became so
This is a cool idea.
popular that she bought another one, and then the 12-person hyperbaric wasn't really.
Super cool.
Yeah. So he'll be in here for 30 minutes. He'll wake up and have one of the best power naps of his life.
Oh my gosh. I totally want to try that.
You'll have to try that.
I have to try that. Wow.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that tour of Centner Wellness. Some very cool machines. I see a lot of stuff, and I hadn't seen a lot of these before. So I'm now going to interview Leila Centner.
So if you watched the past half hour or so of this show, have just seen all these cool, sexy, sometimes never before seen, even never before seen by me, which is saying a lot, I think, because I don't have a life and all I do is play around with biohacking technologies, and health technologies and beauty technologies here at Centner. Even baked empanadas, which Leila just got done cleaning off my off my lips. So all this stuff here, and obviously it takes a unique mind, maybe even a little bit of a weird mind, to actually get into even wanting to get a massive facility and put all this stuff here in the first place. So what even got you interested in the idea of having rooms full of spinning things with people inside of them?
Well, first of all, Ben, thank you so much for being here. It's just a pleasure to have you. And
Thanks.
You're the king of biohacking here at Centner Wellness.
I don't know about that. I mean, well, yeah, I would say maybe the Duke or something like that, and you're definitely the queen.
You're
so
the OG. So it was an honor just to show you around and let you play with our toys. So a little over 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and later I learned that I had been living in a house filled with mold.
And when you say you were diagnosed with Lyme disease, I'm assuming that leading up to that point, you knew something was wrong.
Yeah. It was a pivotal moment in my life where I just couldn't remember anything, and I had this bionic memory that I could remember everything. In fact, it would drive my husband crazy because I just wouldn't forget anything.
Yeah.
You know how that is as a husband.
Right.
You know, sometimes you want your wife to forget things.
The pot of coffee that he let get cold 5.5 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
So I just remember sitting there crying, thinking, not only have I been hiding from you, but I've been hiding from myself. I've been trying to hide from all these issues that I've been having. And then I realized, all right, I just need to dig in like I do with everything. I mean, it's just kind of my nature is to want to problem solve, to be a critical thinker, and to not just do what someone tells me, but to really figure it out. And I had been a antibiotic baby. I don't know if you know who those are, but those kids.
I'm assuming it's a baby who gets a lot of antibiotics.
So many.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was a nurse. She didn't know any better.
Yeah.
The doctor she worked for, you know, every time I would be sick, he would give me antibiotics.
Yeah.
give me penicillin shots.
I remember the days. My pediatrician, Craig, he was a super sweet guy, but every time we went into the doctor, it was like, you just got to take this antibiotic, you know, very similar to how it seems like every 2 weeks I had what my parents would sometimes refer to as stomach flu. But I was drinking a gallon of 2% milk from Albertsons every day, and I didn't find out until I was like 27 that I'm lactose intolerant. So I would just be like wrecked a few times a week from the gut and on antibiotics.
Well, I had constant infected throat. Constantly my throat was infected. And I was also not tolerant to dairy, and I was drinking a ton of dairy because you remember in school, there was a food pyramid.
Like strong.
You know, and so
and don't get me wrong, I love like kefir, like
I'm all about
milk.
raw.
Like,
I do raw milk
fermented
now.
dairy, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
But if you give me some Ben and Jerry's, it's gonna be a bad day.
No, I'm all into the raw milk now. It's A2, incredible.
Yeah.
So as I transitioned to be an adult in my 20s, what did I do? I'd go to the doctor's office because I was sick every month, and I'd say, "Can I have my new Z-Pack? Because I'm sick again."
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I was about 30 years old that I realized, wait a minute, I think it's the antibiotics that's causing the problem. So I did a lot of research, got myself off any antibiotics, and just went cold turkey. I still would get sick all the time because at that time I didn't know how to boost my immune system and do all these things.
Rebuild your gut flora.
I didn't know any of that. I was totally raw to all this. So when I was officially diagnosed, I was pretty lucky that off the bat, I went to a functional medicine doctor who specialized in Lyme. So so I got lucky. Because
You just like randomly picked this person and found out later?
You know Dr. Amen?
Yeah.
So
like Daniel Amen, the brain guy?
Yes, Daniel Amen. So I went to his clinics to do the brain scans to figure out why is it I'm not remembering anything?
Yeah, the SPECT scan.
And how come I'm falling to sleep every day at 7 o'clock at night and I wake up exhausted? So he connected me with his functional medicine doctor who happened to be a specialist in Lyme. And she's like, look, before we even get your labs back, I have a feeling you have Lyme.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So
based on your symptoms.
Based on my symptoms, yeah. I mean, I was slurring. I couldn't remember words.
Yeah.
I was like talking but thinking about the word I'm trying to bring into the sentence.
Yep.
I graduated magna cum laude when I was in high school. Like that wasn't a thing for me.
Right.
I was a fast talker, fast thinker, and a super strong memory. So I'm like, I got to get this back at all costs. And that began my journey, really traveling all over the world. I went to Spain. I went to Lyme, Mexico. I went to many, many places in the U.S. And each place I would see a gem here, a gem there. And then finally, when I was able to put the pieces together, I said, I don't want anybody to have to fly all around the world to get treatment. Let me just put it all in one place. And I'm using it for myself as well. And let's just be a great one-stop shop.
Were you like a hiker or a hunter or spent a lot of time in the forest getting tick bites? Or do you know how you got Lyme in the first place?
So we have a home in Long Island.
Okay.
You know, that's
just like northeast deer tick country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a whole couple of deer families that live on our property.
Yeah.
And it's a large estate that's all trees. And I mean, it's beautiful. But I remember the day, 2013, that I saw the tick on me.
Oh, so you know.
I saw.
Yeah. Did it make the ring? Do you remember?
It probably did, but again, I was so...
Wouldn't have registered at that point.
I was so in the matrix with everything that I just took the tick and threw it away and went on my day.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't even think to do anything.
So there's so many things that people saw in the video walkthrough. And by the way, on my end, I'm going to put this video at bengreenfieldlife.com/Centner. You spell Leela's Academy, Centner. N-E-R, yeah, Centner. And so if you want to see the video, go there or check out YouTube. But, there's so many different technologies that I just wonder how you find this stuff. Because you said you discovered some of these things in your quest to heal yourself. Yeah. And obviously you brought them back here. Yeah. But what's it look like? Like, are you going to health conferences and expos, or are you just having people send you stuff?
I research online. I figure out, like, for example, the EBOO 2 that you saw. I had really, really massive brain fog from mold. And it took me 3 years to figure out that I had mold. And I did 6 treatments at a center in Boca And after the 6 treatments, I was like, this is a must-have
Yeah.
in my center.
Yeah.
And I don't know if if you know this, but we've tested the contents of what comes out of the jar and the filter, and there's like 100 different toxins that come out. It's incredible.
So you can take that blood. I'm assuming you'll what's a popular environmental toxins like the
Vibrant.
doctor's data. Is it doctor's data?
We use the Vibrant
Yeah.
test because it's not
Vibrant.
it's not blood. It's actually a
Yeah.
liquid that comes
Yeah.
out in there.
Yeah,
And
the
sometimes
Vibrant. That's a Zoomer.
the environmental.
Yeah, the environmental toxins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll take the blood that someone's had pulled out as a part of the filtration process.
Yeah, but it's not blood
Or
that's in there. A lot of times it even looks like
Yeah.
urine. It's yellow
Yeah.
for most people.
Yeah. What do you call that collection of fluids? You don't call it plasma.
No, what is it
It's more
called?
than that. It's just filtrate particulates,
It's just-
waste.
yeah.
I don't know.
It's just the
Yeah.
waste. I mean,
Yeah.
we've found.
But you're able to test it.
Yeah, we've tested
Yeah.
it. PFSAs,
So
aluminum.
like forever chemicals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all that is getting pulled out and not going back into the body.
Yeah, it's getting pulled out.
What about microplastics?
And it continues to get pulled out in your urine.
Yeah.
Microplastics come out.
Have you found microplastics in there?
BPAs, yes. It's incredible.
Wow, because those are very
Aflatoxins.
difficult to sweat out. Most of them.
Yes,
You know, the ones
yes.
that are more than 100 nanometers in size, which is a lot of them.
No, it's incredible.
Wow.
When we saw what actually is coming, and for everybody is different. That's what's cool about it.
Yeah.
Is when, because we have different people that test, and we've had biohackers that have tested. If you come tomorrow and you do it, we have to test yours. Because we test super healthy people,
Yeah.
and you get crazy stuff.
I'd be
that
curious
comes
because
out.
I just got back from Tijuana a couple months ago. Have you heard about that one?
No.
Okay, so in Tijuana now, you can go across the border
you're talking
and
about
do
the
a
filter.
Seraph filter.
Yeah, you're talking about
which
the
was
filter.
really originally designed to address COVID,
Yeah.
spike proteins,
Yeah.
and
It cleans the blood.
yeah, and it's a pretty thorough cleanup. I mean, it's 5 hours a day, 2 to 3 days in a row with the catheter coming out of your neck, which is super weird and uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
And it's pulling all the blood out
How
and
did you
filtering
feel after
it.
you did that?
I didn't do it because I had any issues. Knock on wood. Like, I'm a pretty healthy guy. Like, I
Yeah.
feel great, like
Yeah.
90% of the time. I knew about the filter, and a lot of what I do is just like a stint in immersive journalism. I wanted
Yeah.
to try it. I had some clients who wanted to try
Yeah.
it, but I wanted to kind of vet this company first and make sure
Yeah.
it wasn't some,
Fly by
shack in
night.
Tijuana or
Yeah.
something like that. Because my original memories of Tijuana is like
Yes.
donkeys and ping pong balls. And
Yes.
tequila. So I did that whole filtration process,
Yeah.
and that one is supposed to be, along with there's no one called Marker that's supposed
Yeah.
to be really good at doing whole blood filtration.
That one's
but the
supposed to have
EBOO is
really, really
less
gets-
expensive.
But that's
and it's
supposed to
just
get really
4 or 5
like
hours.
small
Yeah,
particulates.
yeah, exactly.
And it's supposed to help people who have like stage 4 cancer completely
Yeah.
reverse it. Is
Yeah.
that what I'm
Yeah.
hearing?
Not any really long-term human clinical studies on that, but yes,
Yeah.
a lot of anecdotal and N equals 1.
Yeah.
And some of these claims about a lot of these filters, you don't know how many people did it with no effect, and all you hear about are the stories of the people who actually got good effect. Like,
Yeah.
you always have to look at these things
Sure.
skeptically, but it is very interesting what if you look at the data on the Seraph website, we could put it in the show notes, what they're actually pulling out of the blood is pretty impressive.
So we should do an EBOO and test yours just to see.
Yeah.
I'm sure yours
Yeah.
is probably a lot less, but it would
Yeah.
still be very interesting to see what comes out.
Yeah.
Because the way the EBOO works is it's also stimulating your mitochondria, so it's not just filtering the blood. Like
Right.
there are things that are happening that's not necessarily happening with just filtering the blood.
Yeah.
Plus you have the light machine, you have all sorts of things that are like pulling things out from a deep layer.
You mean when you're doing the EBOO, you're running what people saw, that little laser machine, the
Yeah.
Weber, so you're using the frequencies as well.
Yep, but it's
Weber, yeah.
well, it's attached to the EBOO. So the EBOO
Yeah.
2 has a light machine attached inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have heard, you and I both spoke at a conference. I think this was the first time we met a couple years ago with Dr. John Laurence
Yeah.
in Sarasota. And you talked a lot about parasites.
Yeah.
That's obviously different than Lyme. Is that because you also had some kind of a parasite
well,
issue?
It's all connected. First of all, we all have parasites. Everybody has parasites, especially anybody that has cats or dogs. Like literally you can get parasites even if you're a vegetarian, right? So in the 1800s, late 1800s, it was very normal to continuously do parasite cleanses. Normal. It wasn't until the early 1900s that Rockefeller came in and made it look like witchcraft. And they basically brainwashed everybody into medical school to think that parasites you could only get if you were in a third world country. So what does that mean?
Surely there was some kind of a financial
100%.
stimulus.
Yes, think about it. If you do parasite
motivation.
cleanses, Dr. Hulda Clark wrote books in the late 1800s. Her books are amazing. You have to buy one of them just to read. Dr. Hulda Clark.
Hulda Clark, okay.
Her books are all about the root cause of cancer starts with parasites. And parasites come because your terrain is a disaster, meaning you're full of toxins. Then the parasites come to clean up the toxins. And then the parasites create such havoc, which leads to cancer.
So if parasites clean up toxins, would there be a beneficial effect of parasites as well?
No, because they're also doing a lot of damage. They're eating up all your nutrients.
So-
They're causing a lot of havoc.
Okay, so what you're saying is the hypothesis here is that the insides are garbage from, let's say, a toxic lifestyle, microplastics, pollutants. I don't know what it would have been back in the 1800s. What would it have been?
Oh, it was the sanitary system was a mess.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
people
probably
were dying from different bacteria. I mean,
Okay.
it was constant.
Okay.
And their immune systems.
maybe not super clean meat and produce and things like that as well, I
Exactly.
would imagine.
And the water, drinking dirty
Yeah.
water.
So you're saying that parasites almost act as a little bit of a human bioremediant to where if they're in your gastrointestinal tract, is it just the GI tract or is it the rest of the
It's
body as
everywhere,
well?
especially
Okay.
because everyone has leaky gut now,
Okay.
especially because of glyphosate, which tears up your gut and it
So when
seeps
you
into
hear
your
about
bloodstream.
people feeling like parasites in their eyes or something
Yes,
like that.
yeah, your eyes, your brain,
Okay.
everywhere.
So these
But I wanna
parasites
rewind- I wanna
are cleaning
rewind.
stuff up.
I want to rewind 1 second.
Okay.
Why is it that the medical world doesn't want you to do parasite cleanses? It's cheap, it's easy, it's simple, and you can get healthy relatively quickly. Versus if you ignore it, then it turns into, what does Dr. Hulda Clark say? Cancer, which is a very lucrative industry.
How is it that parasites cleaning up garbage would cause cancer? Meaning, like, if you look at what's the guy who's put forth the metabolic theory of cancer? Thomas Siegfried. This idea that cancer thrives in an anaerobic environment where there's lots of lactic acid, there's poor mitochondrial health, thus poor fatty acid oxidation, increased metabolism of sugar, low amount of oxygen, etc. That's a state in which cancer can thrive, and he presents very good data for this theory. So I'm assuming that there must be some way in which the parasites are creating an oxygen poor acidic environment.
Exactly. The parasites are creating the environment. Like if you read, I wish I brought her book. Literally, there is a chart in there that points out to every parasite and how it contributes to specific cancers.
Okay.
I mean, she literally had
You mean like different parasite responsible for different cancers?
Yes. And so she would bring in her clients, her patients, and she would do all these different tests. And so she has 5 books that have case studies, case study after case study after case study. And she was focused on parasites. And people were calling her a quack, telling her she's crazy. Meanwhile, she's literally healing people with cancer by cleaning up their terrain. So her focus was the terrain.
So this is more than just preventive. You're saying someone who has cancer and also has parasites, if you address the parasites, you have seen anecdotal cases of cancer remission?
So have you seen the Joe Rogan podcast where he had Mel Gibson on it?
No.
You didn't see that one? It was very interesting. Mel Gibson talks about a few of his friends who had stage 4 cancer who did
Okay.
ivermectin and fenbin
Okay.
and were completely reversed. What is ivermectin and fenbin?
They're anti-parasitic antifungals.
Exactly.
So
So
they're not having an effect on some type of cancer cell autophagy like, say, chemotherapy would. The reason that those would theoretically be working for cancer is because of their anti-parasitic activity?
Yeah, they're cleaning up the
Interesting.
parasites.
Huh.
Now, what we do here at Centner Wellness is we focus on the cell membrane first, before the cell membrane and the lymphatic system.
Okay.
Because if you're toxic and you just go and start killing parasites, when they die, they drop the toxic load that they've been eating into your body.
Okay.
which could cause a major Herx reaction.
This sounds a little bit like heavy metals. Like if you just
Yes.
take a bunch of heavy metal,
Yes.
what do you call them? Like detoxification agents for the liver, like chlorella, or what would be another example?
clay.
Well, clay would be the bind, but you take that stuff and you don't take a binder, it'll wind up going to other parts of the body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you just jump into killing parasites, you're going to cause a serious Herxheimer reaction, which is
Okay.
what happened to me when I first started because I
Okay.
didn't know. So I did a lot of things trying to figure out how to do, and I saw worms this big coming out of me, so I was in like kill mode.
Like in your
Must
poop?
kill- Yeah, when
the
I
toilet?
was doing water enemas and
Wow.
then coffee enemas.
Wow.
So you could literally see them in the toilet.
What do you think about people who say they're just like threads of mucus parasites?
No, that's not true. I mean, they've been proven. You can test them. The thing
How do you
is,
test them?
well, the thing is, there are different tests that you can do, like 3-day stool test,
Yeah.
where it has all
Yeah, I've
these
done that
lists
one.
of and it most of the time it comes back as negative.
Yeah.
Because the parasites are holding on to your liver, they're holding on to your different organs, they're literally burrowed inside your body. So by the time it comes out in your poop, like, it's usually not going to come out in your poop until it's dead.
Okay.
So I don't even understand how some of these tests, like I've ran these tests and they show nothing, but I can see the liver flukes in the toilet.
What do you think would happen if you took something like a biofilm disruptor for like a couple of weeks before you did a test like that? Just to make sure we don't get too inside baseball for people watching. Like the environment that parasites hide in that Leila was referring to is this biofilm, the same thing that'll get built up around a fungal infection.
Yeah.
And so if you can break down the biofilm and then take something that moves that through the intestines, you would theoretically more easily see it in a stool analysis, with the biofilm disruptor being like proteolytic enzymes, serapeptase, like
Yeah.
a lot of things people take for soreness.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that,
Yeah,
but
that'd be
I'll tell you,
interesting.
we have a great PDF that we got from Rogers Hood.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of the Rogers Hood parasite protocol,
No.
but it's pretty amazing. And so she's put together this PDF that basically shows all these different parasites in pictures. So you can, I tell people you can become your own poop investigator. When you're in the toilet with a shish kebab stick, swishing things around, you can see what's coming out of you.
People just do that.
People are curious, like,
Yeah.
what is it? Because you can't necessarily send in your poop and they're going to come back with this is what that is.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's like this underground world of all these different parasite places where people are sending in their parasites and they are coming back and saying, yeah, this is what that is. So then she put together a whole PDF that shows this is tapeworm, this is liver flukes, this is that, this, and there's a whole
But is
list
it like
of
one of
them.
those biology books where it's like a super clean, like microscopic analysis of a fluke, or is this like actual pictures of like people's poop where
No, it was
so it's a little
pulled
more
out,
relatable
pulled
and
out, so you
understandable?
can see it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like pulled out, so you can actually
Wow.
see it. I'm going to give it to you. You should have a copy of these. They're amazing. And so, like, I would see all these liver flukes coming out of me,
Yeah.
but when I do the 3-day stool test, I don't show anything.
Is a liver fluke just a type of parasite?
It's a type of parasite, yeah.
Okay.
And they're very common, unfortunately.
Sounds gross. Like,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah,
is
they're
a
gross.
liver fluke?
My 5-year-old, when she was 5 at the time, because of mold, she had huge worms, again, this big, coming out of her little body, little tiny body. She had massive, massive stomach pains. Nobody could help me. Nobody could figure it out until one day I read something somewhere and I'm like, all right, we're going to do a water enema. And just, it blew my mind what was coming out of her.
What's a water enema?
It's distilled water in it, like an enema bucket.
Yeah.
And you just put the water in the tush.
So like a coffee enema, but using distilled water.
Using distilled
instead.
water, yeah, especially for the little
Is that
ones
just because
when
you
you
didn't want
start.
to like give her something caffeinated?
I started with her with water just
Yeah.
to like see how her body does and just
Yeah.
to get her used to it, and then I
Yeah.
evolved to coffee for
Okay.
her. I don't
Yeah.
need to do it anymore because she's fine, but it literally got rid of her stomach pains. She had
Wow.
massive stomach pains, and I had another
Wow.
friend, same thing. Her daughter had the exact same thing, and the doctor's office wanted to do a biopsy. And I'm like, do not do a biopsy. Just do this. Same thing. Within a week of water enemas, pain gone. Saw worms in the toilet,
Wow.
and never felt better since. Of course, she did some of the other protocols, but it's incredible just getting them out of the colon. How you can feel immediately better.
I think the
Immediately.
number one piece of pushback that I already know people are going to say, so let's steelman this, is, well, if they got a water enema, what if their pain was because they were constipated and it cleaned them out, and the parasites was a bunch of like mucus that you saw from the colon after they got cleaned out?
Well, you know what we should do? We should post a few of the videos of the worms.
Oh, you got
I
it.
have them.
Oh, but let's put them in the show notes.
We could let our viewers
Do they
decide.
like move and stuff?
No, but they look like worms. They do not look like.
Okay.
I know what plaque mucoid looks like. It does not look like it.
Okay.
And she was moving fine.
Yeah.
These things get literally stuck in your colon.
How do you get rid of them?
You got to do all parasite cleanses. We're big into fixing the cell membrane first, right? So we were talking about the PC oils.
Phosphatidylcholine. Yeah, we
Yes.
mentioned that in the video, I think, as we were walking around.
Yep.
So this would be, you can take those
start with
orally, but you can also take phosphatidylcholine as a super effective cell membrane repair formula, if you want to call that, intravenously.
Yes, and that's what we do here.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's completely transformed. It was the missing link, the missing piece that I needed.
Yeah.
Because the amount of, so if you think about it, it's what I tell people. Have you done a fatty acid test? Kennedy Krieger?
Like an omega test?
It's called a fatty acid test.
What is it?
It literally shows you everything about your cell membrane, your fatty acid composition, peroxisomal respiration. Have you heard of that?
No.
PR index?
No.
The PR index actually shows you how your cells are detoxing.
Okay.
It's something that people don't talk about. I'm like, how is it that nobody in the biohacking world is talking about this?
Peroxisome, what's the R?
Respiration.
Peroxisome respiration. So I'm assuming peroxisomes being a metabolic byproduct of toxin elimination or something like that?
Yeah, so basically the way she explained to me, it's the health of your cell, it's your cell's ability to detox.
Okay.
When we tested mine, I was a 412, which is ridiculously high. Ridiculously high. I focused on the oils for the first 90 days, and I retested it 90 days later, and I went from a 412 to a 95.
So a higher score would mean there's more crap in your cells that it's not
Means
detoxing.
you're not detoxing.
Okay.
Right? So then, get this.
This is like a blood test?
It is a blood test, yes. Okay. Which, if you're here tomorrow, I would love to do on you, because you will get an analysis like you've never seen before.
Interesting.
Like you've never seen before. It took me 4 years to find this, and I'm like,
wow.
What? Actually, Dr. Mike Hyman just wrote a great article on it, which we should also post in the show notes.
Okay, on the peroxisome.
On the PC oils.
Oh, on the PC oils.
Because he's doing them.
Okay.
He's been doing them for 30 years.
Wow.
And his article just explains it so well.
Is it on his website?
It is, but I'll send you the link so we can post it in the show notes. Yeah. So 90 days later, I took it, and I also did something different. I did the vibrant urine analysis right before I started, and I did it again 90 days later. Here's what's fascinating.
Vibrant is the environmental toxins.
The environmental toxins, the mycotoxins, and the heavy metals.
Okay.
When I saw my results, it looks like everything's green, right? You're fine. Normal place would say you're fine. When I retested it 90 days later, because now my cells are detoxing, half the pages were red.
Oh, wow.
Half the pages were red because now my body's not holding on to it anymore.
So the long story short here is that, similar to how a stool panel may not show a parasite because the parasite is hidden in something like biofilm, if you're looking at cellular toxins, then sometimes until you actually do something that will cause them to be released, you're not seeing those on a test.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So what happens when someone does a DMPS chelation, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do a DMPS chelation here to see really what the heavy metal count is in someone's body.
Some
right?
people might not know what DMPS chelation.
You want to explain it?
No.
No? Okay.
No, because you're going to do a way better job than me.
Okay, I probably won't do it.
Basically, you're binding certain compounds, I think in this case metals,
yes,
right?
Yes.
To then allow them to be excreted for the purposes of testing metals in the body.
Exactly.
Yeah, which can be dangerous if you're not ensuring that they're pulled out and instead redistributed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So for when you do that, so if you do a regular urine test, you are not going to show anything. Mm-hmm. But if you do something like that, you'll show what's in there because it's pulling it out. Right. Right. But you don't want to be doing chelations to get these metals out. What you want to do is you want to fix the cell membrane so your cells are doing what God wanted, what God intended,
Right.
which was to be detoxing on your own. And then,
Right.
of course, you can do the infrared sauna, you can do all these
Right.
beautiful things that we have here that will be enhanced
Right.
because your cells are already working properly.
Right. An occasional chelation for an intense detoxification probably makes sense. But this is the
Yes.
idea behind every time that you go to the bathroom in the morning to poop, you shouldn't do or have to do a coffee enema, right? Like
Exactly.
unless there's some serious issue going on, you should ensure that your pelvic musculature, your diet, et cetera, is
Exactly.
supporting the natural bowel processes with occasional things like enemas and colonics.
And we had somebody here a couple weeks ago with massive mercury poisoning. So we needed to like bring down that load fast.
Yeah.
We couldn't wait to fix the cell
Some
membrane.
unlucky sushi lover.
You know, so there are people that will need like a quick DMPS with the right support around it,
Yeah.
which is fine. You know, and there are some people that finish the PC protocol and they do still need to have some chelation, and that's fine as well because everybody's toxic load is different,
Yeah.
right? But if we can strengthen the cell membrane and have it do what it needs to do, then game over.
Yeah.
So now after the 90 days, I merged into doing the PC oils, which is the IV straight into your arm.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Game changer.
Wow.
You do these oils and literally you're bouncing off the walls.
Wow.
So I
And
can't.
are these PC oils something someone administers orally?
No, this is the IV.
Oh, there's the IV. Okay.
I started with the supplements.
Yeah.
And then I merged into doing the IVs.
Wow.
And they're amazing.
Now, a lot of people have done like, I don't know, like N80 IVs and you're there for 3 or 4 hours. You know, Myers cocktail is like super fast, 45 minutes. How long do these take?
It depends the formula because everybody's formula is going to be different and it's going to be based on their labs.
Yeah.
And so the particular one I do, it takes about 3 hours only because I have one cocktail first before the oils.
Yeah.
And then after the oils, we do the Weber laser on me.
Okay.
And I do the full spectrum.
Okay.
So it's incredible though.
Yeah.
It's
wow.
really incredible.
Wow. So are you pretty much like after all of that, this whole journey that you've had from Lyme to Parasites to all these different biohacks, do you find that you're pretty clean now or are you still fighting this battle?
It's not that I'm fighting this battle. So I was a toxic mess.
Uh-huh.
My gut from the antibiotics, a disaster. I had breast implants that I had removed. My BPA levels in my body were 40
From
40.
From implants?
from the implants. I still have the implants that I let people smell it. They smell like plastic. That was in my body for 20 years.
Just random parties at your house, you pull out the breast implants. And
I do. I am a little crazy like that. Yes, I do. I throw it at people.
odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
So
I'm still-
these implants with this back, because isn't there a new material they're using in implants now, and a certain material that they were using a while ago that's now outlawed? I forget the whole scenario. with
Silicone,
implants.
saline.
Yeah.
It's all garbage.
Yeah.
It's all garbage.
Okay.
So
And whatever they're using now for implants is still an issue.
the problem is, this is what people have to think about. It's a foreign substance in your body. Mm-hmm. And what does your body do when there's something foreign in it? It attacks it.
Yeah.
So 24/7, your body is trying to fight this invader. And they're fighting and they're fighting and they're weakening. Your immune system is weaker and weaker because you have soldiers 24/7.
Yeah.
It's like a war that doesn't end. So when you remove the implants, besides the fact that you're removing the toxins, you're telling the body, you can breathe now. The invaders are gone.
Huh. Do you think people who get like a knee replacement or a hip replacement have the same issues with like a sympathetic nervous system response?
That's a good question. I don't know about knee. I just know that there are a lot of metals that they put in people's body, and it's, it also causes problems. You know, even titanium implants.
I know. I used to be in surgical hip and knee sales. When I first got out of college, that was like my job for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
I realized that I didn't like that job much and didn't really like being in a hospital all the time. But yeah, after having observed literally probably like 200 different hip and knee surgeries, you got to wonder, like if the body has some kind of a sympathetic nervous system response or some type of
Body's gonna
synthetic
reject it.
absorption from implants, there's got to be a little bit of that effect with hips and knees as well.
I mean,
Who knows what Neuralink's going to do?
It probably has to be. I mean, even with Botox and fillers, right?
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that stuff 6 years ago, and now I just do
Yeah.
the plasma
Yeah.
So we take it from my own body and inject it into my face.
Yeah, what was that machine called?
So we have the PRGF, the plasma-rich growth factors.
Yeah.
So it's getting like the best part of the plasma and
Right.
injected
That was
into
the
your
one that was
face.
in the same room as the what's it called? The nitrogen.
Yeah, the Neogen.
Yeah, the Neogen.
Neogen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know we all want to look beautiful. We all want to do things on the outside, not just the inside. But let's just do it a safer and a healthier way. And had I known what I know today, I would have never done fillers. I would have never done Botox.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to these days. In fact, you can even inject your own stem cells in your face.
Yeah. Behind the scenes, do you here at Centner or your academy, your school, which I've heard fantastic things about, pay attention to the things going on behind the scenes environmentally, meaning like the air filtration units or the water that people are getting in the coffee that they're making in the cafe, or like the lighting, or how much Wi-Fi, like that's one thing. And I ask that because it seems like a lot of times there's like little bits of low-hanging fruit and there's a bunch of expensive pieces of equipment, but they're not in a super healthy environment. Does that make sense?
So like at our school, I was able to build one of my buildings from ground up. So I used a healthy home specialist who basically...
like a building biologist.
Yeah. So I've got EMF protection paint on the walls.
Oh, amazing.
You can't get any 5G into that building at all. I've got EMF protection on the floors.
Yeah.
I've got 5G protection on the windows. I have special water filtration systems at every one of my water spots. And our
Lucky
kitchen,
little radio frequency deprived children.
And the Wi-Fi is in the hallways, so it's not in their classrooms over their heads. People don't like it because they can't use their phone in my building, but I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm here to protect the kids, not so you can have cell phone
I get that
usage.
at my house too. I'm like, here's your Ethernet to USB-C or Lightning adapter.
exactly.
Here's the Wi-Fi cable, plug in.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool, but it's cool to be able to have built it from scratch. In fact, I don't know if you saw me, the media beat me up a few years ago because I didn't want my teachers to get the COVID shot. I don't know.
I
you're
didn't
not
see
familiar
this.
with that?
A Miami charter school that made national headlines for its controversial vaccine policies is back in the news again.
The COVID vaccine controversy still simmering at a South Florida private school.
Just absolute quackery. So I filed an amendment that basically prohibits any business in the state of Florida from doing that.
A new controversy at Centner Academy, the private school near Miami's Pricey Design District, which made headlines last spring for a controversial email warning staff from getting a COVID-19 vaccine, now in the spotlight again.
And here we go again. They are now asking students that if they get vaccinated to stay home.
Here we have one of the most powerful tools in our arsenal to protect ourselves and get out of this problem. And they are discouraging the use of it. It's tragic.
Leadership at the Centner Academy in Miami called the COVID-19 vaccine an experimental injection.
Centner Academy here in Miami has used false claims to ask people in their school to hold off from getting vaccinated.
The author has a very primitive understanding of what a vaccine is.
She called it an experiment, took issue with the fact that at the time...
What is going on? And this has to do with the school in Miami.
This story has taken off across the country. As Keith said, networks are picking it up. It's coming across all over.
The White House is responding to the school's controversial stance on vaccines.
I have seen this report about a private school in Miami that's telling its staff and teachers not to get the COVID vaccine.
Now they are telling vaccinated students to stay home.
It's absolute lunacy, and it goes against everything that's well understood and well accepted in the scientific community.
Our objective is continuing to convey that it's important to abide by public health guidelines, that they're in place for a reason.
An educational institution is even more misleading.
False. I'll say it again, that is false. There is no credible study out there that indicates that the COVID-19 vaccine will in any way lead to any sort of transmission.
That's not written by anyone who has any understanding of the science.
They made fun of me for putting 5G protection in my windows. Like, they.
What do you mean, like shielding, like shielded windows?
Yeah, they thought like this crazy lady. Why is she protecting her kids from 5G? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I live out in the middle of nowhere in North Idaho. My building biologist, Brian Hoyer, was at my house a week and a half ago, and he's testing the house. And after we built it, just to kind of make sure everything was good to go, and one thing he found was we were in the bedroom, and he pulls out his meter for cell towers, and he's like, you guys are basically being blasted by that cell tower right here while you're laying in bed. And even though all my walls are shielded, the windows are not shielded because we wanted to get a little bit extra lighting in. I'm like, well, if I have to choose between as much natural lighting as possible and getting blasted by a tower the whole night while I'm in bed, so now we're shielding the windows as well.
But you can put the shield, the clear shield in front of it. Did you get that?
What do you mean the clear shield?
You can actually, it's like a tint.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what we're now putting on the windows.
Yeah, I have that
Yeah.
on all my schools.
Yeah. Wow, you've thought of a lot.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's important, you know. I mean, we live in toxic soup. This is the other thing I tell people. The reason why it's so important to do this stuff, and look, if I tell people if you can't afford a place like Centner Wellness, do the natural things. Sit outside, enjoy the red light, ground outside, make sure that you're only buying organic. It might cost you a little bit more money now, but in the long run, you're not dousing your body with glyphosate that's destroying your gut.
Yeah.
So do all the things for free. Buy a super simple $1,000 infrared tent. You know, you don't need to have the $10,000 infrared, booth.
Sauna.
You just do whatever you can. Work out. Get one of those little mini trampolines so you can shake up your lymphatic system and you can get it moving. You could bounce. You could do the rebounding 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Like everybody should be doing things, because if you don't, and this is what I learned from Dr. Group, the guy that I showed you his supplements in our room.
Yeah, the guy who does like ozonated supplements.
He has a quantum in his manufacturing facility that he puts in his.
Yeah.
But he was part of Dr. Hulda Clark's team in the 1990s. He was an apprentice.
Oh, wow.
And they were trying to figure out, okay, let's figure out what the root cause of cancer is, right? She had all this data. She was working with other amazing doctors with all this data. And you want to know the root cause? You probably know what the root cause is.
I mean, I'm going to say parasites, because that's
what comes before parasites.
Your toxin exposure, your toxic load.
Yes.
Yeah.
They figured out the root cause was the person's toxic load.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
How
So what
simple
you're
is that,
saying
right?
is by living clean, eating clean, moving, breathing, sweating, doing all of these things, including charging the body up with light, with negative ions, with connection to the planet, with the technologies that simulate that. One of the main things that people should take into consideration when questioning how much time and money they want to spend on this stuff is the efficacy with which it is preventing a debilitating disease in the future that your body creates because you eventually reach a state where it can't clean itself up.
100%.
Yeah.
You said that so perfectly. We need to create
Just made it up as I went
a little
along.
60-second of that, because it's key.
Yeah.
You will get cancer eventually if you do not clean the toxic load.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
You know, people also say that if you don't take the time to slow down, your body will eventually slow you down.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of that. It's I'm sure that people who do not take the time to slow down, who do not meditate, who don't have a gratitude practice, who are constantly on planes, trains, and automobiles, working 24/7, or at least many hours of the day, those people sure have a nervous system activation and amount of stress that puts the body into this fight or flight mode that renders it more susceptible to disease. They also, based on that fast-paced lifestyle, probably are eating more fast food, processed foods, out of bars, while driving down the highway, whatever. But what I'm getting at is that in addition to toxic load resulting in chronic disease, you could also argue that simply not taking the time to even slow down and consider doing some of this stuff is going to accelerate the onset as well, because you're just in sympathetic nervous system mode, which is not the state to be in when you want to detox. This is somebody gave me a piece of advice years ago. They're like, well, if you're going to use the infrared sauna to detox, like, don't do stressful things in there. Don't drag your exercise bike in there and crank out push-ups if your goal to be in there is to detox, because you actually have better sweats, the pores open up more, the liver detox capacity is increased. I don't know if that was based on research or not, but when you're in a more parasympathetic rest or digest state, which is why, of course, you shouldn't eat when you're in a hurry, and you should chew your food and do all those things that assist digestion as well.
That's why you're also going to love the chiropractic adjustment that you get from Dr. Rocco later.
Yeah, we're going to film that for you guys. We'll show you.
It puts you in the parasympathetic, which whenever he adjusts me, my sleep scores are amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the key. And people say, "Oh, I don't have time," or "I can't afford it." Well, take out the "can't afford it" out of it, because you can do it all naturally, right? But if you don't do it now, it's going to cost you a lot more time later.
Yeah.
Because if you have cancer, you're not going to be able to work.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to stop everything.
Yeah.
I know people that, boom, diagnosed 2 months, gone.
Wow.
By the time you get cancer, your body has been a mess for 20 years. When people say, "Oh, the person was healthy and just got," no, that's not true.
Yeah.
It's like, what would happen if you bought a brand new car and you never got an oil change? What's going to happen to that car? You're going to be driving down the highway one day and you're going to see smoke coming out of your car, and it's not going to work. I know this because it happened to me when I was 16, because nobody told me to get an oil change.
Yep.
And so I killed my first car.
Now your car will tell you when you need an oil change and where to go to get one,
Yes,
and probably drive you to the oil change.
Yes, but when I was 16, it did not, and nobody explained to me why it was important. But our bodies, we need to change the filters.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do an oil change. We need to purge these toxins. And that cell membrane is getting beat up on a daily basis, whether it's from chemtrails from the skies, whether it's the toxic pollution in our waters. It's everywhere. And so to ignore the cell membrane and just keep going, it's going to keep getting hammered and hammered until it's not going to be detoxing. So not only are people not detoxing like they should be, their bodies, their cells are no longer detoxing. So then that sludge just completely takes over the body, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's not working.
Wow.
Parasites have taken over. Everything's taken over. The cells are a mess. The cells that are supposed to die aren't dying. I mean, you're just a mess.
Yeah. Wow.
And then they're like, what do I do now? Okay, great. Let's do chemotherapy and just, with a hose, kill everything else that was good in your body.
Slash and burn.
And burn. And just hope and pray that you're going to come out of that. And hope and pray that we were able to kill enough of the bad stuff. And the good stuff were strong enough to survive.
Burn down the house instead of taking out the trash on a regular basis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's take out the trash on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Let's encourage the world to do something, to do jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to have this amazing facility to be healthy and well.
Yeah.
But if people,
even though the Vasper and the ARX are a little more fun than jumping jacks, you are right.
They're fun, but I don't want to discourage. I don't want anybody watching this to think
I can't get healthy unless I have all this cool stuff. I run into that sometimes too. And this kind of stuff is totally fun. And yes, if you've dug yourself into a hole, definitely this is the type of equipment that you really need. Or if you really want to focus and it's a high on the totem pole for you on longevity, on anti-aging, on beauty, etc. Yes, this stuff will help that out. But you're right. I mean, to stay clean, it can be, you don't even need a rebound. You can bounce your body up and down.
Yes.
You can do jumping jacks. You can do push-ups. You can go outside in the sunlight. You can earth. You can ground. You can swim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an important message for people to learn.
And enemas are not expensive.
No.
Everybody needs to keep their colon clean.
Yeah.
You have to keep your colon clean.
Yeah.
And especially in the beginning when you've never done it before, like, inspect that toilet, see what comes out of there.
Yeah.
Start with your water enemas, then move up to the coffee enemas. It's not something you need to do all the time.
Yeah.
But if you've never done a colonics or coffee enemas, you have to, because all the little bugs and stuff are hiding in your colon.
Yeah.
And this is how people get colon cancer.
Yeah. I do it once a week. I've been doing it for 6 years.
And it's amazing, right?
Yeah. You feel pretty good.
You feel great.
Yeah.
Diverticulitis. Before I started this, I had diverticulitis. And the doctor, did a colonoscopy, which now that I know what I know today, I would never get one again, but I had no idea what I was getting into. Again, all of these sicknesses opened my eyes to another world. My coffee enemas got rid of it. Gone. I'm fine now. No issues.
Yeah.
No issues.
Amazing.
But the doctor didn't tell me that
For the
it
price
was
of a Starbucks.
Yeah, and the doctor
They'll
didn't
use
tell
Starbucks.
me. Like, I'm like, well, what do I do? How do I heal from this?
Yeah.
Basically, he sent me home to get worse.
Yeah. Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Same thing. I also had a gallbladder stone. Rushed to the ER. I thought somebody was stabbing me with a knife. And I was like, what in the world is happening? So they gave me an MRI and they showed me the stone. And then like, the easiest way to help you is to cut out your gallbladder. And I'm like,
of course. Yeah.
That can't be a solution. Just get me out of this
That can't
place.
be useful.
Now that I know what I'm dealing with, get me out of here.
This throwaway organ. Yeah.
And then I went home and I did these amazing gallbladder liver flushes. And I had stones galore coming out of me.
Wow.
It was a 2-day thing. And I did it multiple times since. Never had an issue again.
Wow.
Yet the hospitals want to jump to ripping out your gallbladder, telling you it's useless. Well, God didn't put it there if it was useless.
Exactly. Same thing like the appendix, the storehouse of bacteria. You could get it removed if you have appendicitis. It might be necessary, but yeah, every organ, as far as I know, there might be one I'm not thinking of, but every organ has a pretty good purpose, all the way down to the balance that you lose if for some reason your pinky toe
Tonsils.
gets removed. Yeah.
My tonsils were inflamed almost every single month. They wanted to remove my tonsils. And I'm like, you're crazy. We're not doing it. I have not had a sore throat for 4 years.
Wow.
3 years.
Wow.
Because that's when I really started boosting my immune system.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
It's not the tonsils being inflamed that's the problem. It's why are the tonsils inflamed?
Yeah.
And the tonsils are actually protecting you and doing a job. Now you're going to remove your number one soldier from the front line?
Yep.
Then what's going to protect you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so backwards. And once I got into this, because this is not my background. I mean, I used to be a CPA. I was a CFO of my husband's company that we sold 6-7 years ago. So I was a numbers girl, MBA. I'm all into the analytics of everything, which is why I'm obsessed about labs. There isn't anything I do without doing labs. I did a crazy butter protein diet. Anybody that's doing that, get off of it immediately. I did all the labs before and after, and it was a disaster. It created so much inflammation in my body.
You did a what?
It was like
protein?
A lot of butter. You were supposed to eat a lot of ghee, a lot of butter with just protein. It was a disaster. Oh. But it's the reason I do labs for everything. Because I can see this is where my markers were in the beginning, and then I'll retest in 90 days. And everything that you see in my location is because it was tested on me. I was the guinea pig and other people. We've seen the results. Oh my God, this is incredible. Look at what this person did to this person. We've had somebody in here with Alzheimer's. They get started on our PK protocol, which you should also see. Dr. Hyman did an article on Alzheimer's as well and the PC oils. And amazing things happen to the brain. My brain has never felt sharper because of the oils and then everything else that I'm doing here.
Wow.
It just enhances it. When your membrane is strong, all of these toys are enhanced.
Wow. Wow. Well, for people who are watching, obviously there's a lot of different pieces of equipment here. You saw some of them in the video. I know on your website you've got like a list of services and you can kind of like click and read more about each of these different protocols. I don't know if we mentioned it when we were doing the video walkthrough, but we are in Miami, Florida. That's where Centner Academy is. Are you going to be anywhere else, you think? Or now, just South Florida?
No, we will. So we're opening another location in Edgewater. That's in Aria.
Okay.
There's an Aria condo building.
Okay.
We're going to be on the bottom floor, but it's not going to be just a wellness center. We're opening a Regenerate cafe and restaurant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure, it'll be tasty.
Super cool.
More empanadas.
And we're going to be having our own chicken.
Oh.
That's super clean.
That's great.
Yeah. And like another level on top of organic.
Yeah.
Regenerative chicken.
Oh, I love it. Speaking my language. Yeah. Chicken and biohacking. That's the name of this podcast. It's going to be bengreenfieldlife.com/Centner, CENTNER. And that's where you can check out all the goodies, the show notes. We're also going to have a little bonus, so don't go away yet, showing you some cool chiropractic moves from Dr. Rocco. All right, so as promised, little carrot at the end of a stick here as a part of my podcast as Centner. I hooked up with Dr. Rocco. Backstory is I actually threw out my back a couple of days ago, and I found out that Leela, who you just saw the interview with, has an amazing chiro she works with. So we thought, why not turn the cameras on while he explains what he does? Because apparently it's pretty unique.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Very unique.
All right, cool.
Awesome. So everything starts with parasympathetic, fight or flight, rest and digest. Everything comes back to that. So the way I like to explain it to people is we're going to call rest and digest your center. Anything that takes us away from that is a stressor on the body, right? Okay. So it could be too much sunshine. It could be COVID. It doesn't matter what it is. And we're in variations of it all day. So this pulls us out here into the stressor. Now, how fast we can go from the stressor back to our set point is how adaptable we are as humans, right? Some people maybe they get COVID, they're better in a day, a week, a month, right? So this adaptability threshold. And so for me, I like to explain it a lot like children. So my daughter's 8 now, right? When she was 1, she'd be in here and maybe she'd venture over to the bed and then she'd come back and grab dad's leg, right? 2, she may venture into the hall. 4, go a little bit farther, but she always knows she can come back. 8 years old, she may be outside at this point, right? But then she's gonna come back. So her adaptability threshold with her dad is that. We have the same thing in our bodies. Make sense? Okay, so this adaptable threshold has 3 pathways that it can utilize in order to adapt, okay? So those pathways are this. We have the physical body, the chemical, and the emotional body. I definitely have doctor handwriting, so we'll do the best we can.
It's all right.
For me, this one is the most important because it's the one I can change in the office that day, okay? It will play into these, right? Now, the part I'm talking about is the brain and the spinal cord itself, okay? The bones that stack up around it are a part of it. Brain and spinal cord are actually one big organ, all right? Now, your brain and spinal cord have a membrane that surrounds them. We're going to talk a lot of 30,000 foot view here. And it's called the dura. I'm sure you've heard of that. Okay. So this is how your body responds to stress. Okay. It's just like this hair tie. When the body encounters stress, the spine stretches. Okay. When the body releases the stress, the spine relaxes. So all day we're kind of in a little bit of a stress, relax state.
Okay.
We have an onslaught now of stressors in our lives that we never had before. So the spine, instead of just like relaxing again, it never gets to. It's one after another, after another, after another. Eventually it can't stretch anymore.
Okay.
Now that cord's going to start to torque and twist itself. Okay. Real gently. But what happens is in that torque and twist, we start to create little things called dural adhesions along the spinal cord. Your spine is now literally being choked like this in that torqued and twist position. What that does is when we go into that stress response, it's like the undercurrent of the ocean. Now it can't come all the way back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we know now that these can start to form by 2 years old in the system.
Wow.
Okay. And start to calcify around that spinal cord and to choke the spine.
Okay.
We know that this is massive for a whole bunch of different reasons. 86 billion neurons in our brain basically converge and send 1 billion of them down and out our nerve roots.
Okay.
Those go to every cell in our body. Depending on what you read, between 36 trillion and 100 trillion cells in your body. When this happens and the spine goes in and it locks down into that stress response, the cell shuts itself off to the outside world and goes into survival mode.
Okay.
Now, mitochondria is affected, DNA is affected, telomeres are all affected because the system is shut down and the things aren't able to get in.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
So we have created all of these modalities, all of these things that are hyper concentrated to break through this system.
Okay.
All right. My job, when I take care of you, the short answer is this, to jump to the end, is when I take care of you, my job is to bring the spine from this to this.
Okay.
So we start to break these up and we start to get the spine to relax and calm down again. That then gets this cell to open itself back up.
Okay. And now nutrients can flow in the right way. Now you add things like a red light bed. It's exponentially enhanced what can happen to the system.
Okay.
Okay. The cell wall, cell membrane, all of this is starting to do what it's supposed to do again. It can get its signal. Good?
Cool.
All right. Now we're going to go a little bit farther.
Okay.
The next thing that happens is the HPA axis. That's just your body's stress response. Don't worry about the names. Signals are sent down the spine to the adrenal glands. Everybody and their mother's told they have adrenal fatigue now, right? So the body goes into the stress response and it can't leave it. So this stays on all the time, okay? The adrenals are going to then make cortisol. We know everything cortisol does. Short-term great, long-term terrible. Public enemy number one, according to psychology today. All right? When this system can't shut down because the spinal cord is being choked and its vibrational frequency is being stifled, now this system stays on all the time. When this happens, everything goes awry. Blood pressure increases, heart rate increases, immune response decreases, sex hormones decrease, inflammation skyrockets, dopamine decreases, which leads into the whole brain reward cascade system, which is the addiction and compulsive disorders. All from hijacking of the nervous system.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. You take cortisol running rampant in the body, an adrenal gland being pumped dry, and roughly, depending on what you read, 100 trillion cells being shut off to the outside world. And this at a cellular level gives you the breeding ground for every disease we know of.
Okay.
All right. We know that this now is called HPA axis dysfunction when this system does not function correctly. And it hijacks the entire stress response in the body, perpetuating the disease cycle.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Now, this one's my favorite part. The next thing that happens is the emotional system goes. All right. So your third eye sits way up here, right? Everybody loves to go up and talk about how important that is. It's actually, if you follow it up, that sella turcica and the seat of it right there is actually where the spine comes up and ends. Okay. So it anchors right there. Now, if we stretch that spine, we're theoretically pulling down on that seat of the emotional system. Okay. The next thing that Candace Pert found is that your thoracic spine, so from T1 to T12, this part has as much emotional tissue as your brain, okay, and the dorsal roots of the spinal cord. When this spine is pulled, torqued, and twisted, we are hijacking this entire system. This is the source of most of our stress, our anxiety, and our depression when you follow this the whole way through.
Wow, interesting. Okay.
When you start to take the tension patterns off the spine, these things fade away like crazy under my care.
Wow.
Okay. To go deeper, when this happens, the primitive brain lights up. And its job is survival. That's it. That's all we care about. This is why Fox, CNN, and Facebook all pump you negative news, because this needs fed. The more this gets fed, the more you stay in that loop of survival, survival, survival. And you cannot be in survival and thrival at the same time if we listen to anything Lipton and Dispenza have given us, right? Okay. So the body then, again, reinforces the cellular response of stress to every single thing all the way back. And then you get stuck in this loop. Your body makes around 37 quadrillion chemicals a second.
Oh.
That's under the control of the brain and spinal cord. When that chokes, it diminishes all of it. Okay. Now, the beautiful part of all of this is once we start to take tension off the spine and we rebalance it, all of this opens back up again. Okay? And this is my favorite part. There's a wave in your brain called the P300 wave. Have you heard of this?
No.
Okay. It's your state of human performance.
Okay.
Okay. How well that wave functions is, in essence, how adaptable you are as a human being. Okay. When there's tension on the brain and spinal cord, or there's any type of trauma, concussions, anything like that, the amplitude and latency of that wave is going to decrease.
Okay.
All right. Every time I touch your spine, the amplitude and wave of that P300 or latency start to balance back out and upregulate themselves. We are finding now that this has no theoretical limit to its potential, meaning neurologically, we are limitless as human beings.
Okay.
This is how neuroplasticity works. This is how your adaptability works at the brain and cellular levels. This is how your cognitive ability, focus, all of that comes back to this.
Okay.
So when we bring the P300 wave back online, that's my favorite part of this. All the other stuff, the symptoms, all those things fading away for people, it's amazing. I love it. But you get this back online and you get the body doing what it's supposed to do again, stress, anxiety, and depression start to fade away. Symptomology starts to fade away. The body balances the hormonal system back out again. It's fascinating.
Wow. Cool.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. The summary that I give everybody is this. All right. This is you. You're a level 5 person. Okay? This is your stress. Level 3. Your stressor becomes a level 4. That's a problem. It becomes a level 5. Nobody likes that. It becomes a level 6. It's completely overtaking you.
Okay.
The world has created $1 trillion industry to decrease the stress in the system. Okay? Nobody talks about how do we increase the adaptability of you. Right? That's what the P300 wave does. Every time it increases its potential, we do this. We do this. We do this. We do this. Now, if you're like all of my patients, we do this. And this is where we go.
Okay.
To quite potentially limitless.
Okay.
Right? And then you tie in and you add all the stuff we do here, and this skyrockets.
Okay.
Just like you know, right? All the things you do, all the things you work with, that's what happens.
All right. So next up, I'm actually get the treatment. Now, Dr. Rocco's told me it's a little boring. I don't want to bore you guys on camera seeing how this is exactly done, but I will report back afterwards and let you know my thoughts. So if you stay tuned for the end of this podcast or follow me on social media, you'll learn more about what I experienced afterwards. Thanks for watching.
As a reminder, the show notes for today's show are at bengreenfieldlife.com/CENTNER, where you can leave your questions, comments, feedback for me, for Leela, about any of the technologies or the treatments that you see in this video. That's bengreenfieldlife.com/Centner.
Do you want free access to comprehensive show notes, my weekly roundup newsletter, cutting edge research and articles, top recommendations from me for everything that you need to hack your life, and a whole lot more? Check out bengreenfieldlife.com. It's all there. bengreenfieldlife.com. See you over there. Most of you who listen don't subscribe, like, or rate this show. If you're one of those people who do, then huge thank you. But here's why it's important to subscribe, like, and or rate this show. If you do that, that means we get more eyeballs, we get higher rankings, and the bigger the Ben Greenfield Life show gets, the bigger and better the guests get, and the better the content I'm able to deliver to you. So hit subscribe, leave a ranking, leave a review if you got a little extra time. It means way more than you might think. Thank you so much.